Hello everyone, happy Tuesday, and this has been, and you guys probably know what I'm talking about, this has been one of those days where it's a little bit, you know, the world feels like it's heavy, a lot of things happening where you're like, oh, that bad, dark energy, negative things that make you feel like we're fully in the upside down again. All the work we did has been flipped upside down, just, it just feels bad. And I guess part of that is Trump accepting this plane from people who did 9/11 for entertainment purposes only. It's true though, and as you know, I've always said that I felt that he's connected to the 9/11 events, the people, and he sure seems to be attached to them. But that's just a theory and not a fact, and for entertainment purposes only. But you know, it just and to for people to justify him accepting the plane, which we won't get to use. So it's not like the Statue of Liberty is not a gift to America. It's for him. Now what it hurts. But America's already been damaged so much now. It's like, well, I mean, at least he's making the obvious obvious. At least he's not hiding it anymore. And it's really up to his cult to finally wake up, because the rest of us really see everything that's happening and know the truth. But it hurts though. It still hurts that there's literally nothing that they will hold him accountable for. Um, what I got about the plane that he accepted from Qatar, from the Saudis, is that he was scared to fly around in just Air Force One because he's worried about threats from countries like Iran. For entertainment purposes, everything I say is for entertainment purposes only. He's scared about threats from Iran. I've felt that very long time. And what happened was, see, Iran works with the Saudis. So it's kind of a circular thing. If he flies in that plane and they attack it, they're essentially attacking the Saudis. And they don't want to do that. They don't want to cause war and trouble with them. I think they have oil connections. And so he got a safety net from them. Now, the thing about it is, though, that because they're not exactly our friends after 9/11 and even before that, he really shouldn't be flying in a plane from them unless it's been fully torn apart and inspected for bombs and whatnot, etc., etc. But he did it, and I found it interesting when 45 sat there and Elon was there, but looking back, remember when Elon and Kushner were drinking red wine, and I call it the blood wine, with the Saudis, probably about 2021. Do you remember that? And that was when Elon was, he had taken over Twitter. And he was about to. And he's told that one kid that tracked jets online that he would sue him, or said, don't track jets, don't track my jet, because he didn't want the kid to know that he was flying and talking to 9/11 terrorists with Jared Kushner. So it shouldn't surprise us that Elon has a connection to the Saudis. He's already had that, and we've already seen it. 45 as well. Remember the globe after he was quote unquote elected the first time, his hands on the globe and all the things, and then the live golf and all of that. I mean, it's like, we know. But it's still very upsetting. And then this thing yesterday with so the plane was to help him feel safe. The plane was, there's many reasons, probably to help him escape later on if he feels like he needs to escape. What else is I going to say? The whole thing with the coffee. Okay, I was going to say that, the coffee. Marco Rubio was there. And it was like this traditional thing for them to sit there and be served coffee by the Saudi prince. And you would drink it, right? Kind of like drinking the wine, drinking the pact, making a pact. And 45 did not drink the coffee. Now, maybe he told them, I can't have it because of whatever, I have gastritis, or, the doctor said I can't have it, or blah, 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 blah. But I don't think so. I think he clearly doesn't trust them. And I thought, well, what about food? He's over there. He's going to have to eat the food they serve him. He can't. See, he's afraid he's going to be poisoned. He's deathly afraid he's been afraid of that for a long time, and that's why he only eats McDonald's, has his own personal chef. And I thought, well, surely he can't have McDonald's in Qatar, right? He can't do that. Well, he brought out this mobile McDonald's. They provided it for him. That's crazy. But the thing is, what it showed was that he doesn't trust them. And he can shake their hands all he wants and accept airplanes and all these things. But if he doesn't trust them and it's obvious like that, then how are they really making these deals? How is there any real pact between them? And more than anything, why is any of this being allowed to happen? It's very, very upsetting. If any of you remember 9/11, which I'm sure you do, it was a horrible event. And it was a horrible attack on America, on Americans. We've never quite gotten over it. Everything that you go through at the airport is because of 9/11. And think about it. Think about him and Leland messing with the airports recently with the flight, I don't know what you call it, the scanners or whatever. That was them. That was them. It's just everything is so nefarious. Everything is so underhanded. Everything is so covert. Everything is in computer systems and Leland accessing everything, and we're all just supposed to look the other way, but it's pretty obvious to me that everything they do. And there's always a reason, like, why is this happening? Why are the flights down? Why are the computers not working? Well, it's because of this. And there's always a connection. But yeah, the biggest saying with 45 not drinking that coffee and not eating their food, that shows he doesn't trust them. So therefore, how are they making deals with him? Of course, why are we making deals with them at all after what happened? It really makes you think, are we going to start to say, because the MAGAs always support everything he does and they just make him an excuse to make it okay. You have to think, well, are we now going to say that 9/11 was okay and that we deserved it? Is that what they're going to say? Is that where we're at? I mean, that was a horrible event. It literally took, it was like we were one humanity, one timeline, one country, and after 9/11 everything changed. It's like you say, before 9/11, after 9/11. That's how much it changed us. That's how big of an event it was. I swear, I always have felt that he had something to do with that. I really do. And now it just seems more obvious. But again, for entertainment purposes only. What else is going on? I mean, there's a lot of things that, what can you even talk about anymore? It's devastating. You look around and you see videos and you hear things and you just go, well, here's one thing. So without saying it directly, the groups that they're pretty much Proud Boys is what they are. In fact, that's why 45 let them out of jail, because he wanted them to be his private militia. Now, we said that, right? We already talked about that. Said that's why he's letting them out, because he wants his own private militia, because the military is not going to do a lot of this, because essentially at the end of the day, someone in the army can say, each individual troop can say, I'm not going to do this. But his militia is so foaming at the mouth, Jan 6ers, they'll do anything. They're fully indoctrinated and they've got all their weaponry. I mean, I grew up with guys who, they would go to the army surplus store. They were the borderline skinhead, thought they were so smart, they played like Dungeons and Dragons, there's nothing wrong with that. But their behavior of always having to have military gear, they would wear camo jackets and get like holsters and have knives, and it was like a whole thing of like, oh, that's one of those guys who goes to the army surplus store. Well, I think nothing of it, wouldn't hang out with them, but whatever, harmless, I guess. But now you see that this is just like in people's basements all across America, these little militia. And isn't that to me, that's not pro-American, that's anti-American, because to promote fear and to like live in a fear against your own government and to hate it that much that you would be stockpiling weapons and one day hoping that you could use it against citizens. And who do you choose to hate? Well, the person that 45 has told you to hate. Brown people, right? It's just, that's so, to me, all of this is so un-American. I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe it. And to see it, I mean, I don't, you want to come on here and say, let's just do a video. But how do you even like function when this is happening in the world? But at the end of the day, I always think this. It doesn't matter what they do, how much they do it, how much power they think they have. And one day they have a lot of power, the next day they don't. But at the end of the day, we all know what they're doing is horrible. We all know that all these roundups and everything and deportations are horrible. You must have due process. It's not just something that sounds okay. It is. If you look at the American flag, that we should have put on the American flag, due process. The Constitution of due process. Without it, you are not a country. Without it, you are against America. Because otherwise, we really aren't a country. We're nothing. We're just a big mass of land. I mean, the thing about it is, you may say, well, I'm Caucasian, and they're not going to round up me, and I don't like all these brown people around it because they're not from America. Well, nobody's from America, unless you're indigenous. And how do you know? So let's say that someone decided, let's say the government decided to do DNA tests on everybody, which I think they already accessed all our DNA anyway. So let's say they find out that you actually have Latino or African American, or you're from like a European Jew or what have you, or maybe they don't like Irish people now, and then you're Irish, but a lot of people have mixed heritage and they don't even know it. They don't know it. So let's say it comes down to that. You may be on the side of like one of the Jan 6 militia grabbing people off the streets, and the next day you get a letter that you're illegal because they found out that you have some DNA that doesn't fit the Caucasian, pure white, what have you. And the whole thing is crazy. You can try to get rid of every brown person, every person you don't like, every person you deem illegal. You can try, but you're never going to get rid of all of them. Just like in 1940s Germany, Europe, they didn't get them all. What they did, though, was rack up massive amounts of human rights violations, crimes against humanity, to the point where Hitler was in a bunker and it was all over, because this does not last. This is a crime against humanity. This is a vile system of hate. Anti-human, anti-universe, anti-love, anti-law. It's not law to do this. It's just them having, it's like hate porn for these people. They just, I guess they love to hate others, and they're really getting off on this. Can you imagine living in that much hate? I can't imagine it. That you wake up and you think, today I'm going to get rid of more, I'm going to scare more children, and I'm going to get rid of more parents and children. What is that? What are their mothers thinking? What do their mothers think of these monsters they created that are hate monsters? They're evil trolls of the underworld. What are they thinking? This has nothing to do with law. This is what their law they created. If you went and you played a baseball game and you have the other team decided they didn't have to follow any rules of baseball, and then they won the game, but they didn't follow any rules, would you call that they really won? Would you call that they had legit played the game and knew how to play? No, you'd be like, they cheated. That's how I feel about all of this. That this is, 45 has made up his own rules, and all these sick sycophants of his that can't say no, and they live in their own world of wishing hate and fear and pain upon others and darkness, and they're enjoying it. This is a feast of demons. I mean, that's what this is. I rest in assurance that some of my favorite psychics have said that they know that 45 is going to leave, whether his own bad health or whatnot, and he's not going to be here all the 4 years. I feel that too. I've always said that the guy's not doing well. I said it the other day, I think, the way that he falls asleep all the time. One of the last memories I had of my grandfather, and I was just really little, my cousin and I would sit on his knee on Sunday dinner at my aunt's house. And I just remember that Grandpa would fall asleep and we'd all have a nap together. And I remember I asked my aunt, why does Grandpa sleep all the time? And she's like, well, honey, he's getting old. It's true. And that was like, I think he died within that next year, which is sad, but it's true. And you know, 45, he's old, man. He's old. We're all going to get old, but he's so old that he can't stay awake through anything. Most of the videos you see of him now, he's barely awake when he's signing executive orders. The other day, they handed him an executive order, and he said, what is this? What am I signing? And you're like, you don't even know? See, he doesn't, it's like elder abuse, in my opinion. How did we get in this horrible state? Well, here's a story for you. So, I took Karen to the lake today because we haven't been there in a while for our walk. And so we went. It's pretty hot, you know, but we went early enough to enjoy that early morning coolness. But it did get pretty hot. But anyway, we walked down by the shore, and I kept hearing this hideous noise. Hideous. And I couldn't see anything off in the distance, but it's like, okay, that sounds like they're ripping the earth apart with big old construction machines, cat machines and all that. Backhoes and everything. And I was like, well, maybe they're building more houses, which is just ridiculous to build a house. But if you want to be by the lake, get a cabin or learn to camp out like we all used to do. We'd camp, you know. But no, everybody has to have a big, huge house. But as we left and we drove around the lake on the other side, I saw all this land that had been ripped up and piles of trees. And I was like, oh my God, it's that thing that Trump did where he ordered all the parks to cut down trees. And they're doing it. That's what always amazes me about all of this. It's not just that he, in his addled, sick mind, narcissist mind, orders these horrible things, but it's that people actually do it. That's what always bugs me. It's like, okay, he's crazy. We know that. But why do people always do these things that he asks them to do? I mean, anybody in their right mind would say, I'm not going to do that. I'd rather go to jail, or I would just, you know, like, fire me. Just fire me. I'll find another job. But people actually do it. Can you imagine being told, cut down all the trees on the other side of the lake where all the cranes hang out and the birds hang out and there's... I just can't... I would have to, like, be fired. I'd go live in a box on the corner. I couldn't do it. I couldn't. I don't understand how people are doing what he orders. I don't understand it. Are we that depraved? Are we that weak? I guess we are. I guess we're very weak humanity. We have some people who really love to cause pain and suffering and destruction, but I just think there's a lot of weak people out there. I mean, it was heartbreaking just seeing piles and piles of trees. And I would, before that, I would drive around the lake and I would drive through and you have that beautiful shady, that mystical forest feeling, and you drive through and then there's the little creek and the heron sits in it looks like a Japanese print where there's the heron and the trees are hanging over and it's just magical, you know. And now it's all gone. They destroyed it. And you tell me that that's not the Antichrist. You tell me that that's not what, like, the freaking devil would do. And that's something I want to talk about before I go. Again, Spirit always says to me, this isn't going to last. Have hope. Stay in the positive reality. They are dragging us down into the upside down all the time. One thing is 45 is trying to deport as many people as possible until like June or something, because then he doesn't have money to do it anymore. That's why they're ramping it up right now. And one thing that's happening is countries like Mexico are becoming better countries because they hate Trump so much because he's so awful. They're actually becoming better countries. They're like, well, we don't want to be like America, so we're going to, you know, so people actually want to go back there and live there. I mean, most of us would rather like live there at this point because it's so beautiful there. What's ironic is all the Republicans who've gone there forever and thought that they were kings of the world, ordering people around in Mexico. Well, we go to Cancun for vacation. Yeah, but you hate Mexicans, so why do you even go there if you're so fucking racist? Excuse my French. The rest of us would go there and be so happy. Okay, that reminds me. The other day on TikTok, there was a woman, she was saying, you know, and she's a black woman, and she said, you know, gingers are black people. And everybody, like all of us gingers, were like, you know what? I've always felt that. You're right. And they're like, oh my God, I feel so connected now. I feel so like I belong now. And it's like this community where we all came together. And I consider myself a ginger because I'm Irish. I have freckles, I have red hair. It's auburn, but it's still red hair. And all these gingers were saying how they've been outcast. They'd have like being made fun of and sexualized and all these things. And it's like, you know what? I have always felt like I was closer to quote unquote black people because you do feel like you don't belong in the rest of society because you're, I don't know, Irish people have always felt that too. Irish people have soul. And well, anyway, so the rest of us are coming together. The rest of us are loving each other, and all the things that 45 hates and his people hate, we actually really love each other. And so that's a good thing. We're all coming together. They're missing out because we're all like having a party over here. That's the other thing I want to say. Okay, lastly, so have hope. And 45 is not going to last all 4 years. His health is horrible, and he's racking up massive crimes against humanity. He's never going to get out of this. Hitler didn't get out of it. Jim Jones didn't get out. No one, Mussolini, no one ever gets out of this. And he's too stupid to understand that you have to end what you started. And it's not going to be pretty. That's not a prediction, that's just the truth. None of this will last forever. And he's old. But I just wanted to say lastly, like, I was thinking about how, you know, because I say, oh, he's the Antichrist, and everybody agrees now. He's literally the Antichrist. And everyone who's working for him and doing his bidding are like evil trolls from the underworld, like demons, literal demons. And I was thinking, you know, MAGA, here's why MAGA is not going to get to heaven. Does he think they're going to have like some golden palace in the sky? Like, we did everything the Bible told us to. We're going to go. No, you're not. You're not going to go to heaven. And I'll tell you why MAGA is not going to go to heaven. Because vibration. Heaven really is a really high vibration. And just as the only way to connect to spirit is that you have to raise your vibration. You may have spiritual experiences that help raise your vibration, but on a general rule, connecting to spirit, spiritual experiences, you have to raise your vibration. It's an energy. It's a really high energy. And love is like that really, really, really high vibration of love. So if you're living in hatred or fear, you hate other people, you hate brown people, you're enjoying, it's like a gluttonous enjoyment of other people being scared, like actually enjoying someone being afraid and being in pain and being suffering. That's low, 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 dark energy, low, heavy energy. You cannot go into heaven with that energy because it's impossible. It's literally impossible. Look at it like a balloon. Let's say your soul is a balloon. And you're feeling it like, so your greed and your gluttony and your hatred and all these things are like sand inside your balloon. And it's just sinking down. And you say, well, I want to get to heaven. It's impossible. because you have nothing but heavy, heavy, heavy energy in it. The only way to get to heaven is to match the energy, and that's really high. That's when you ascend and you go up and you have an awakening and you go up to you head up to your higher chakras and your crown chakra, and you connect to the heavens, literally, just to that beautiful light, high energy, high love, high light, forgiveness, compassion. Your balloon floats up. So yeah, I just thought I would say that. So if you say Maga's not going to go to heaven and they get mad, you can tell them why they're not going to get to heaven. And it's not a judgment, it's not a doom from a guy in the sky, it's literally their own doing. And isn't that what forgiveness is? Because when you forgive others, you lighten your soul, you lighten your spirit, and you allow yourself. It's not like you're actually saying that's okay what you did to me, but you're saying I let it go, and I'm releasing. You're letting the sandbag off your balloon so that you can rise and lighten your energy. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Have a great night. Bye.